Salute BookTube, welcome back to my channel. Today is June the 1st, 2025. So I thought I'd make a June TBR video just to let you guys know what I'm reading or what I plan to read this month. Finally got to make this video. I wanted to make it earlier, but I had some car trouble and so it got a bit delayed, but better late than never. So what I'm reading for June, of course, BookTube has influenced my reading to a large extent. So I'm trying to follow a lot of not as many of the BookTube events as possible, at least the ones that interest me. And the first one that interests me, and it's one that, again, BookTube is making me expand my reading. As I've seen, maybe if you watched some of my earlier videos, my BookTube newbie tag, I'm mostly a reader. If you see, all those books are mostly nonfiction history. So I'm trying to expand my reading, read some more fiction, and specifically science fiction. And so I saw an event on BookTube called Dune in June. I don't know the details too much, but if you just hashtag Dune in June, you'll see videos announcing what the event is. I don't know if a group of booktubers are reading a specific book of Frank Herbert's Dune series, but I have read the original Dune, and enjoyed it very much. For somebody who doesn't read sci-fi, I enjoyed it very much. Excuse me. And I thought it's probably best if I continue. Try to keep reading some science fiction, trying to develop that science fiction reading muscle. So I decided I would participate. I'm just reading a book. I saw the book in my used bookstore. They've got a website as well, so I saw that they have it. I reserved it, but I just don't have it physically with me, so I'll just show you it on my iPad. That's what I'm reading, is Dune Messiah, which I believe is the second book in the series, in the Dune series. It's also not the best photograph, but the edition that I have, I think that's the cover. So I don't know which edition this one is, but that's what I'm going to be reading first. And if it's half as good as the first one, then it should be an enjoyable exercise. The only issue I'm having with reading the part 2 is I read the first Dune a while ago. When the movie came out, I read it before then. So this was a couple of years ago, maybe 2022, late 2022. So it's been a while. I don't know, do I need to read the first one again to read the second one? That's the only thing that's worrying me. But hopefully it's a standalone and I can enjoy it without having to go back to the old one. Let's see, you'll find out. If I'm 4 chapters in and I'm lost, then maybe I'll stop it, read the first one again, and then come back to this at a later date. Let's see. The next BookTube event that I'd like to participate in, or that's influencing my reading, I'm not really participating. I should, commenting and joining groups, etc. The problem with that is my time zone. For those who don't know, I'm filming in the heart of the Middle East, in the United Arab Emirates. So timing and time zone issues, a bit difficult for me based here, when most of these booktubers are most of them are in the United States, North America, and Europe, Northern Europe mostly, so UK specifically. So timing's a bit of a, but I'm trying to read based on the BookTube events that I see around me on my feed. One of those events, or actually there are 2 events, and I'm going to combine them. The book that I wanted to read, or the event, was June on the Range, and this is where you are encouraged to read a work of Western. So what I wanted to read was this big thing, Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove, which is the classic Western, big brick of a thing. I wanted to read this. I haven't read it. It's sitting on my library, my TBR. I said maybe June on the Range would be a good time to read it. However, it is a big book, and I don't know if I'll be able to complete it with all the other books I want to read. And I saw another event that is called Steinbeck in Summer. Again, all of this you can probably find on YouTube if you search for it, and for the people who started it. But Steinbeck in Summer is pretty self-explanatory. The group that started it, the bunch of booktubers who started it, are reading Steinbeck. And I think they're reading Grapes of Wrath or East of Eden, the classic novel. But I heard, and I don't know if it's true, I actually thought that this was a child, I think it's a child's book, but I heard it qualifies as a Western. It's The Red Pony. Hold on, sorry about that. The Red Pony by John Steinbeck. I heard that this can be classified as a Western. So what I did is I'm going to combine Steinbeck in the Summer and June on the Range and read this. It's a short novella, so it'll be short. I heard it's a coming of age story, so I don't think it's a children's book. So that's what I'm gonna do. Again, I found the book on my used bookstore's website, so I reserved it. So I'll just pick up. I'll get once I can pick it up, I'll start reading it for June on the Range and for Steinbeck Summer. Um, yeah, so I mean, like I said, I would have read this, but I think it's too big. Maybe next year I'll read Lonesome Dove. I actually participated in June of the Range last June 2024, before I had BookTube. And then I had the Sackett novels by Louis L'Amour. I read those for June of the Range. I bought the first 5 in the series as an e-copy and just read them. Not very big books, but there's a lot of them. It's a continuous story. The only issue I had with that, they were fun reads, but I mean everybody considers them westerns. I don't really consider them western. I think it's more pioneer fiction. Uh, it's very early America. It's a story about early America, colonial America. And yes, they do go west and they are pioneers, so I guess it counts. But it's not cowboys and Indians and horses and boots and spurs. It's not that. It's more pioneer. In fact, the first Sackett novel starts in England, and it's the protagonist um, is driven out of England and moves to America basically to escape um, the old country. So I don't know if it counted as Western, but I read it, and I don't know if I don't know if the Red Pony uh, counts as a Western either. But I'm just gonna mix or combine June on the Range with Steinbeck Summer. So that's hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Um, and then the third book that I'll be reading is the Steve Donohue's read along of Anthony Trollope, which he's already started. Started before June. I've already gotten into it, but hopefully it'll be done by the end of June. It's Anthony Trollope's The Claverlings. Oh, I'm sorry about the glare. It's too bad. It's a nice photo. You can see the picture. It's just the title. The Claverlings is the family. And this is basically another Victorian novel by Anthony Trollope, continuing the last book we read. If you watched my last video about my May reading wrap-up, we read in May Mr. Scarborough's Family. So this is another Anthony Trollope novel. Again, similar setting, Victorian England, similar themes, but he's just a very engaging author. It never gets old. You can keep reading and reading him, despite a lot of similarities in his novels, at least in setting and in atmosphere. But if you do want to get involved, just search on YouTube Steve Donohue. You can do Claverlings or Trollope read along. It'll come up. You can participate. I think we're already in 10, 12 chapters. But looking forward to completing that. For the other events that I'm hoping to participate in, or at least to draw the inspiration for reading, one of the event is called the Summer of Sport, and that's where you read sports books for summer. I've got a healthy shelf. If you see that last shelf, all those over there are sports books, mostly football, soccer, what the Americans call soccer, what the rest of the world calls football. A lot of football books there. Not exclusively, I have some tennis, I have a few basketball related books. But Summer of Sport, again, just search BookTube Summer of Sport to see who's hosting and for more information. But for me, I'm going to be reading not a football book, not a tennis book, not a basketball book. I'll be reading this. And as you can see, the book doesn't have has no title, but I think you can recognize who that is. And if you're still not sure, it's Muhammad Ali, and the author is Jonathan Eig. Eig. Just get that in focus. Anyway, Jonathan Eig. I don't know if it shows well on the screen, but again, clean cover, but another big book of a biography, a life, basically, a life well lived. A lot of, I'm sure, a lot of stories in here, interesting stories, interesting times, interesting person, larger than life, literally and figuratively, and very well respected. A lot of people in my part of the world, minorities everywhere, really respect Muhammad Ali, standing up for what he believes in, etc. At a time, civil rights movement, etc. A lot of just a difficult time, especially for African Americans, but from coming from really very humble backgrounds to being world champion, I really look forward to reading it for Summer of Sport. The other BookTube event is Historathon. I described what Historathon is in my last video, but it's basically a bunch of booktubers are creating this year-long event in which they're encouraging people to read history, nonfiction, and history. And Historathon is broken up into 4 quarters. The first quarter starts at prehistory all the way to 500 AD. Quarter 2 is 500 AD to 1500 AD. Quarter 3 is 1500 AD to 1820. And then 1820, the fourth quarter is 1820 to the present. So we're in quarter 2, and I've already, if you saw my May reading wrap up, as well as in April, although I didn't have a BookTube channel then, I've been reading a lot of history between 500 and 1500, and I've been focusing on on the Mongol Empire, Genghis Khan, and all of that good stuff. I have a big amount of books. I need to clear my shelf. I don't need 10 books on the Mongols. I can maybe keep 1 or 2. That should be more than enough. So I'm trying to weed out which ones are good and which will stay in my library, which ones I don't need and I can get rid of. So for that, I'm gonna be reading John Mann's The Mongol Empire. John Mann, I think, really caught the world's attention with his book, his biography of Genghis Khan, which I don't have, but I think it's from what I'm hearing on the internet, etc., reading, his Genghis Khan biography is his best book. This is a follow-up. It's more of a general Mongol Empire history. I'm hoping that this is the one that I'll keep. It's such a nice, I don't want to get rid of it because it is a paperback, but it's a very nice designed book. I just love the cover and the colors, etc. It's just nice. So I'm hoping this is the book that I keep about the Mongol Empire. Again, if you read or if you watched my last video, my May reading wrap-up, there's the Mongol Empire, but just like the Roman Empire, you can divide it. There was the Eastern Mongol Empire, which was China, and that was Kublai Khan. And then there was a Western Mongol Empire, which was based in the Middle East. There was actually, you can divide it into 3. There was a third Mongol Empire, which was in the Russian steppes, what is today Russia, Crimea, Kazakhstan, that whole Russian steppe, sweep of Russian steppe. So it was never, I mean, it was a unified empire, but it was so large, it had to be divided. But anyway, this one will give me another brief overview, and I'm hoping to see if this will be the Mongol history that I'll keep on my shelves. And if it's not good, I can always get rid of it. So we'll see. And then also based on my last my May reading, my last video, my May reading wrap up, I also have a bunch of Windsor books about the royal family of the United Kingdom. Uh, a bunch of them, and I don't really need all of them. I just pick them up and I find them really cheap. I find them interesting from time to time. If you see the last video, I had some Elizabeth biographies. I read a short biography about Princess Catherine, Kate Middleton, her early life and how she met Prince William, etc. I read last month, or in April, I read Spare by Prince Harry. Um, I'm just going to continue it because, again, I don't need 10 Windsor books. I just keep the ones that are good. So what I'll be reading for June for the Windsors is this. This is Charles, The Misunderstood Prince is the subtitle. And it's by Sally Bedell Smith. Again, the lighting. There we go. I hope that's clear, but that's the author. And there he is. That's the there on the cover. Another big one. Another big book. So I don't know if I can read all of these in June. My plan is to complete it by the end of June. Let's see. I'll try my best. Hopefully life doesn't get too much in the way. But looking forward to reading this. Again, I have some background, having read a couple of biographies of his mother, the Queen, the former Queen. I read, like I said, his son Harry's Spare memoir. I read about Princess Kate. I've got a bit of a background, but this is a big one focusing on Charles. I guess now that he's reigning as king, maybe it's a good time to get to know him. And again, if it's good, I'll keep it. If not, again, I don't need I don't need 100 Windsor books. And then finally, also to clear out my TBR and clear out some space. Again, if you watch my last video, this year I've been trying to focus on clearing some TBR and clearing books which I bought on a whim. I bought cheap books I feel I can get rid of. But before I get rid of them, I want to read them and then get rid of them. But of course, if they're good, I'll keep them. But if they're not up to standard, I can get rid of them because I do need space for future books. Despite all these shelves, I'm still running out of space. So one of the series of books I have is I went on quite a large trip to the Caucasus. That's the 3 countries in Central Asia: Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Armenia. Did a nice backpacking trip there a couple of years ago, and I got a couple of books while I was there. Just going into bookstores while I was traveling around. Started to get a bit heavy. I got a bit, maybe too much than I needed. I don't need 10 histories of the Caucasus. If I can get one good one out of the bunch that I got, I think that's more than enough. So one of the books I got was this. It's a history of Armenia, a brief review. This is by Armen Khachikian, and it's really nice. It's there's color photography, which is really nice, and then there's also maps, like fold-out maps about historic Armenia. Of course, anybody who knows Armenia knows about the Armenian genocide is probably the thing that comes to most people's minds. But the Armenians had always lived in the Middle East, around the Middle East, traded in the Middle East, a very good businessman, middleman. It's just that episode during a time of great nationalism in which it's a controversial subject. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get too political, but basically they lived in the Ottoman Empire. And when the Ottoman Empire collapsed, an Armenian Republic was declared. It was under the Soviet Union. And now that the Soviet Union collapsed, Armenia is pretty much on its own. Not completely on its own. They've got their allies. But it's still a very touchy, very complex region of the world. lots of rivalries for land, and basically for land in the Caucasus region. The war between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan being supported by Turkey, Armenia supported more by Iran, funnily enough, an Islamic country. But and then you've got Georgia somewhere in the middle, but Georgia also has its problems with Russia. I think I think Russia also supports Armenia more than they support Azerbaijan. Anyway, it's you see, it's very complex. That's why you need a book. This is a brief review. Again, I got when I was traveling, I got a bunch of books on the Caucasus. This was one of them. I'm gonna read this. If it's good, I'll keep it. If not, I can let it go. I don't need 100, not 100, but 10 books on the Caucasus. One or two is more than enough. So yeah, that's my June TBR, or not my June, my June TBR. What I plan, what I hope to read. Those are the books I hope to read for June. Wish me luck. I'll keep you updated, and thanks again for watching. Salute, BookTube.